The Energy Harvesters, a theory on fear-based manipulation and the sustenance of negativity. Throughout history, various spiritual and esoteric traditions have suggested that humanity is not alone in the universe, nor even in its own existential plane. From Gnostic beliefs in the archons to modern theories involving reptilian overlords, many have theorized that a non-human force exists that thrives on human negativity. According to this perspective, fear-based emotions, anger, despair, anxiety, hatred, are not just unfortunate byproducts of the human condition, but rather an essential resource that sustains these unseen entities. If we entertain the idea that negativity serves as a form of sustenance for these beings, then it follows that they must engineer our reality in such a way that maximizes human suffering while ensuring that people remain alive as long as possible. After all, if death is not a viable food source for them, because it ultimately engenders love, reflection, and emotional purification, then their survival depends on a careful balance of prolonged human life steeped in misery. The paradox of death and emotional alchemy. One of the most intriguing aspects of this theory is the role of death in human emotions. When someone dies, those who remain often experience grief, but this grief is fundamentally different from fear-based emotions. It is rooted in love, in the remembrance of the good times, in the forgiveness of past grievances. Even the most turbulent relationships tend to be viewed through a softened lens after death, as people recall the best aspects of the departed. In a way, death purifies emotions, creating an alchemical shift from fear to love. If we accept that these entities are truly sustained by negative emotions, then it would be in their best interest to avoid death as much as possible. A world of constant war and mass executions might not serve them well if it leads to an overflow of love-driven mourning rather than ongoing dread. Thus, rather than outright extermination, these entities may seek to maintain a cycle of suffering, illnesses that linger but do not kill, economic despair that keeps people trapped but not annihilated, social divisions that sustain conflict without resolution. A system designed to generate suffering. Many of the mechanisms that govern human society seem suspiciously effective at fostering negativity. Governments, media, economic systems, and cultural institutions all seem to be finely tuned to create stress, division, and fear. News cycles are dominated by stories of violence and despair. Economic models ensure perpetual scarcity, and social structures are built upon competition rather than cooperation. If such entities exist and orchestrate these circumstances, their goal would not be to exterminate us, but rather to keep us engaged in an endless struggle, one where hope flickers but never fully ignites, where people feel isolated despite being surrounded by billions of others, and where suffering is prolonged rather than concluded. It is a masterful design, one that ensures their food source remains abundant. The path to victory, starving the parasites. Understanding this system provides an avenue for escape. If negativity is their sustenance, then the solution is clear: refuse to feed them. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that suffering does not exist, but rather transforming one's emotional state so that fear does not dictate existence. Love, laughter, joy, and true inner peace may act as a sort of poison to these entities, disrupting their carefully woven control grid. Every moment of genuine joy, every act of kindness, Every instance of love is a rejection of their system. By consciously shifting perspective and refusing to sink into the despair engineered for us, humanity can become unpalatable to these forces. If their entire model is dependent on keeping people miserable, then choosing happiness becomes an act of rebellion. This idea should not lead to nihilism or hopelessness, but rather to empowerment. If these entities must keep us alive, then life itself is our greatest advantage. By refusing to comply with their emotional manipulation, by embracing love over fear, we deny them the very sustenance they require. Thus, the battle is not fought with weapons or revolutions, it is fought in the heart, in the mind, in the everyday choices we make. In a world designed to keep us in suffering, the greatest act of defiance is simply to be happy.